Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready. We're ready to rock. And when you're talking about Halloween ends, you gotta have some folks that have a lot of passion and knowledge for it. And I have a great panel of guests that are going to be with me tonight. For you guys in the live chat, thanks for hanging out with us. Just to say a quick hello to you guys as I bring my guest on in a second. My man, Ginger Ninja, ride or die. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Katie's in the chat, popping the popcorn herself. What's going on, Katie? Almost a year anniversary for your YouTube channel. What's going on? What's going on? Skull Crusher's in the chat. That's right. It's almost here. I mean, we are literally right around the corner from Halloween ends, and hopefully, we're gonna have a blast with this movie. So, what's up? And Jen is in the chat. All right. My man, Heroic Waffles, in the chat. What's going on, man? I'm doing good. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. And we've got King in the chat saying, hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Lindsay, Pittsburgh, Nelly, what's going on? And Jen taking the reins tonight, saying, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, Jen. Really appreciate you so much. And also the general is in the chat saying, hello, what's going on? And also, hey to Brian. Brian's in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. And please hit the like, and that would definitely help to support the channel. Keith's in the chat. What's up, man? Good to see you. And we're live, brother. We're live, and I've got a great panel of guests that are going to be joining me and share the passion for this franchise. And let me just get ready to bring them on right now. First of all, we've got, and you guys know who this is, great friend of the channel, great friend to the community, and a great friend of mine. One of my brothers from the Lethal Collective, and yeah, we love to hang out together. That's what we love to do. And he was gracious enough to come on here for a little bit with me tonight and the panel. Let me just bring in my good friend Steven from Craven Something Scary. What's up,
Hey,
man?
hey, man. Good to be with you again, man. This is,
Yeah,
deja vu, my friend. I'm digging it.
right,
I'm loving it.
right,
Always glad to
absolutely.
be here, buddy. Thanks for the
Yeah,
invite.
man. All right. And also, we've got returning from last week, we had such a great turnout and a lot of great comments and feedback from you guys when Steven and this guest was with me last week. We had a great time, and that's why we're doing this discussion tonight. But I'm going to bring on Michael from Movies and Beyond. What's going on,
What's
man?
up, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight?
All
Yeah, man, we're
right.
ready. We're ready to rock, and Michael is ready to unload on the world, man. He is.
Michael's gonna keep it down a little bit because Michael's got to save something for his letter that he's gonna write, and for probably a video that he's gonna do a little later on. And the
Oh
video's
my
just gonna be
God.
called "Why."
Why? Yes. And lastly, when you talk about Michael Myers, there's a couple people I usually think about in the YouTube community. And this is one of those gentlemen. I've been trying to get a chance to get him on the channel for a long time, and we finally got our schedule down tonight to hang out for, for a little while, hopefully about an hour. Let me just bring in my good buddy, The Shape in the Shadows. What's up,
How's it
man?
going?
Good to
What's up,
have you,
man?
man. Good to have you. And let me also just say, as we get ready going on this conversation, first of all, for you guys in the live chat or watching the replay, we had like a mini conversation backstage before we even went live. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. But let me also just say, for all three of you guys, and they didn't know I was going to say this, but I also want to really thank you guys so much for also being supporters of the channel. You guys are, so generous with your contributions to the channel through Patreon and also through channel memberships. And I just wanted to take the time live to say I don't take that for granted, even though we're all buddies and we talk to each other, on social and emails and stuff like that. But I really do appreciate you guys being so kind and generous to be supporters of the Nightwatch Zone. So thank you so very, very, very much. I really, really appreciate it. Seriously.
Aw, you're very welcome.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
It's awesome.
it's very, very cool. So guys, and we have a couple people jumping into the chat. Welcome to everyone. And if you guys do have any questions for any of us or any thoughts you want us to address, let us know. We'll try to get to them. Super chats will go to the front, of course. But let's start this thing off, guys. We were talking backstage. We're literally right around the corner from Halloween ends. I'll start with you, Steven. We're only, what are we? 10 days away.
Oh
10 days
yeah,
away.
yeah.
So what's your vibe right now? We've seen the final trailer and then psych, one more trailer,
Right.
So what's your vibe right now with all the new things that we've gotten, the images and all that stuff?
Well, I'm actually happy to say. I say happy. Well, I guess I can say happy because I accepted a couple of weeks ago. I had a turning point. All right.
Okay.
Up until that point, I kept thinking to myself, okay, there's going to be some twist to this thing, right? Corey's not going to be the copycat. It's going to be
Oh
somebody
no.
else, and it's going to be like a little squeamish where we're going to have a little whodunit kind of thing, who's under the mask, and it's going to be maybe Nick Castle, right? We talked about that as a possibility.
Mhm.
All these grand ideas. There he is.
Mhm.
And I do believe that's a flashback, by the way, to
Yes.
the night that the boy gets killed. I've got that and another shot in that last trailer where you see
Mhm.
him with the glasses coming up the stairs, and there's a knife
Mhm.
on one of the stairs,
Mhm.
conveniently laying there. Anyway, I'm getting way
Yes.
ahead, but yeah. So I said certainly there's going to be there he is. There's Nick
There's Nick.
Castle. Look at him, man. He's wearing a diving suit. That is a green screen dive suit.
Yep.
It goes all the way up to the neck, and
Yep.
it's red there where it cuts off. That's for filming. That's green screen, and he's got a diving jacket on top of it. So I'm like, okay,
Yep.
we're going to see Nick Castle in costume going underwater. Well,
Mhm.
I thought there has to be, because there's no way it can be as obvious as it looks with
Mhm.
Corey. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 2 weeks ago, I came to the realization to lay it all down. Lay that all down and leave it behind and take
Yes.
David Gordon Green at his word. Quit trying to inject misdirection where there is none. He's being very forthcoming, and he's not even hiding it from us. He is straight up in interview. I know I'm ranting a bit. But last thing I'll say, he has literally told us, guys, in interviews. I've got clips of him on my channel where he says Michael meets this what's the word?
Unlikely
Unlikely,
colleague.
unlikely colleague,
Mhm.
and they begin to, their energies kind of
Feed
they
off of each
feed
other.
off of each other. Thank you. Thank you. I was just blanking all of a sudden. Yes, and I'm like, okay, David is telling us right now
Mm.
that,
Mhm.
and then then they're like, well, maybe that's not Corey. That could be somebody else. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. And I was hoping for that. But here's the problem: when you release 50 trailers in the last 3 weeks, they start showing way too much. And the last two that we've seen, with the one from Peacock a couple days ago or 4 days ago, and the one that was labeled final channel trailer, there's two images that are completely, they seal the deal, guys. We have the image where Corey is in the background, clear vision, watching Michael kill someone in the sewer, and Corey's literally there. There you go, guys. It's there's no more trying to make this something it's not in my mind.
Right.
So I'm resolved, and I understand Michael's Michael's frustration. But Michael, let me tell you, when you just let it go and you just accept what we're seeing, it does get
Man,
better.
look,
It does
here's the
get
thing.
better.
You had your turning point 2 weeks ago. I had my turning point about 20 minutes ago. Okay.
20
It just
minutes ago.
So let me get this together. All right. That's oh God.
And hey
Okay.
to James. Hey, how you doing, man? Welcome to the channel.
Wait, James, what's up?
All right, Michael, go ahead.
So, like I said, at this point, we talked a lot last week about them not giving away too much, and we talk. I brought up what they did with kills.
Yes.
I'm glad that they didn't do that this time, and here we go.
Yep.
Took a page out of Craven's book, started, let's slow some stuff down. Let's see what we can find. And sometimes where they say that if you don't want to find anything, you don't need to be looking. And I probably shouldn't have been looking. And I
Yep.
would be in my own little safe bubble again. But yeah, so I have seen these images that I cannot unsee. And unfortunately, although we don't know the whole story, I do feel like we know too much at this point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of where I sit. I mean, you have a clear view. Granted, we can blow that up. I can blow that up later on, and it's clearly him holding the mask and then putting the mask on. And for me, a guy's pointing a gun at him. He's obviously done something. He's not
Yep.
playing trick or treat. And
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
Well, Michael, can I
Well,
ask
we're
you? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead,
no,
Knight.
I was gonna say we're here for you, Michael.
I
We're here for you,
appreciate that.
man.
And I
Yes.
can't think of anyone better to be here for me, right now who kind of understand. I'm sure Craven, you had a similar reaction probably a couple weeks ago. You
Yes.
probably didn't have to have it live on a show like I
Right.
We
do.
didn't have a
I know.
breakdown live.
But yeah, so
That's right.
here's Michael. Here's how he deals with it live. You know what I mean? But yeah.
And what's up to Brandon? Brandon's in the chat.
Hey,
I like
Brandon.
Scary himself. What's going on, man? What is going on, man? We got to get you back on here too, bro. All right, Shape. I have been waiting for this because you, I mean, look, your name is Shape in the Shadows, first of all. Okay. So when it comes to Halloween, I got to know, man. Obviously, Michael is still kind of absorbing everything. Are you good with this whole Corey angle? And how do you think it might play out?
For me, I kind of at first I didn't care for that at all. Having a copycat killer. For me, it's like for him doing the most of the killing throughout the whole movie, and not Michael doing the killings. That didn't sit right with me.
Mhm.
we go see Halloween film to see basically Michael do the killing, not a copycat.
Right. Mhm.
But the more as I kind of dived into the movie and the ends, for me, it's like they're trying to tell like how Michael is.
Mhm.
Like why they're kind of trying to dive deep into his character, like why he kills, why he's this, why he's that.
Mhm. Good
And
point.
for them to kind of bring Corey in and possibly Corey maybe more of like an obsession with Michael,
Mhm. Mhm.
kind of like how Dr. Sartain was, and
Yes.
not too much with Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis was more of trying to stop Michael, but for
Yes.
him to kind of come in and seeing Michael and maybe trying to become more like Michael and possibly turn into Michael,
Mhm.
I kind of see that aspect to where now it's like we see the boogeyman as something that could get passed on to somebody else.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm seeing now. They're trying, but again, for me, I like to keep Michael and the boogeyman, a secret. We should not know his
Yes.
backstory. We should not know why he kills. He's just simply evil and he is a boogeyman. But
Right.
for them to bring Corey into this and then trying to tell what Michael is.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you mean to me that he was kind of possessed with some evil, and then now the evil can get potentially passed on to Corey, and maybe Corey comes out on top at the end, or you just don't know.
Yeah.
So for me right now, I'm kind of like on that borderline. I probably will enjoy it, but then it's kind of like I'm still kind of on the backseat. Like, is he gonna be the new Michael? Is this
Mhm.
what we come to? Is this how the story's going to end?
Right. 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 That's a really interesting. I love the way you worded that, man, because that just totally made my mind shift a little bit. And I'll explain that in a second. But also, I want to say, hey, what's up to Anthony, Child of Corn in the chat? What's going on, man? And to everyone else who just jumped in, and please hit the like button if you could. Val or Jen, if you guys could just keep us up to date on the likes and so forth. But hey to Kale, and also Frank's in the chat. What's up, Frank? Frank from the Slaughtered Lamb. Good to
All
see you,
right.
man. Um, but Shape, what you just said, it made me think of this a lot differently because all of us as Halloween fans, or at least most Halloween fans that I know, definitely us on the panel, we don't want to know what drives. We don't want to know the secrets of Michael. To me, and I've said it 1,000 times, that's one of the best things about his mythology. That's what makes him different than Jason or Freddy or Pinhead or Leatherface or Candyman or Chucky or whoever. Is that secret, that mystery. But what you just said, the way you worded it is Corey, this plot device, this character, is a way for them to show or maybe explain it, you know, as far as his evil, kind of. And I'm hoping it's kind of explaining it without explaining it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's showing us some things, but it doesn't necessarily get like, into the nitty gritty details, oh, he encounters Michael, and then, something happens. There was a full moon outside, and,
Yeah.
something else happened. And, I don't want to know the details.
Oh God.
If he truly is obsessed with Michael and it somehow alters him, I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't need to see anything more than that. I don't need to see any supernatural energy that transfers from Michael's eyes into Corey's eyes and those types of things. But
Mm.
but the way that you said it, it really makes me think a bit differently about it. Is that Corey himself? It'll be an explanation of sorts, not necessarily. Just last night, Steve and I, we did our watch party for Halloween 6, and they definitely went bit for bit for bit for bit trying to explain Michael, why he's the boogeyman, what drives him, how far his powers go, and this and that. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see that at all. And I'm hoping that with Ends, Corey he is the manifestation of that explanation of sorts. Does that? I'll start bringing it back around. Stephen, does that make sense to you, or what do you think of that way that Shape explained it? Because to me, it just like a light bulb went off in my head.
Yeah, that was great shape. I love it. I think it makes a lot of sense. And as long as they maintain the mystery of what it is, the origin, like what's really at work is the key thing. Like you just said too, Knight. That's really is a big deal for me. I don't want to have a 6 again. I don't want to
Right.
see, I don't want the circle of stones. I don't need to see all that. So I think as long as David doesn't tell us why, and
Mm-hmm.
as far as Corey goes, I do think, man, I have to just be telling you this is how I feel, based on those images where we see Michael. They make a point for us to show us rather Michael looking at Corey in the sewer, and then you see the close-up shot of Michael's eyes, and then you see the close-up of Corey and his
Right.
right eye, and literally it's like when Scream in the principal's office and Scream with Principal Henry, and you see the ghost face mask reflection in his pupil.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It's Michael Myers' mask, but they're making a point to show us like this connection from the eyes to each other.
Right.
And I don't know maybe it doesn't mean anything, but my first thought was, oh, okay, this is where the transfer. This is where
Mm-hmm.
Corey receives something immaterial into
Mm-hmm.
him. And that
Mm-hmm.
if you remember Christine, right? We got to remember that
Yes,
Christine is supposed to be heavily influenced here. So
that's right.
if we have Corey getting some initial evil from
Mm-hmm.
Michael into him, what if throughout the movie that evil in Corey grows stronger and stronger, and he begins to kill and then kill more people and kill more people? So what we're seeing is almost an incarnation of a new Michael Myers, a new shape. But
Mm-hmm.
what happens is when Michael regains his strength after killing in the sewer, he's like, "No, I'm the OG. I'm not ready to give up the throne."
Right.
And Corey's going to go down. Although I still stand by my theory that Lori kills Corey. That half of that battle in her kitchen is with Corey,
Yeah.
and that's who she pulls the mask off of. Remember that
Yeah. That's
scene?
what I thought too.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's not
And it
Michael.
makes sense too. And well, before I get into why it makes sense, just say what's up to Nightmare Corner. Nightmare Corner is in the chat
Hey,
too. What's
Hey.
going on, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. We'll have to get Nightmare Corner in here too, man. It's like, we got to get the whole Halloween crew, man. Seriously.
yeah.
But also we've got a super chat that has come in, of course. Anthony, my man, taking care of all of us in the community, which is absolutely so generous and fantastic. $2 super chat, man. Thank you. Said digging digging the Halloween 5 shirt night.
Hey.
Entry needs more love. It does, man. I mean, when we watched it for Halloween Fest, I hadn't seen it in about a year, and I really had forgotten how much I enjoyed so much of it. Because when I was growing up, I was at a certain age where Halloween 4 and Halloween 5 were that was kind of my, I was in my prime, as far as old enough to understand things. And because Michael had come back in 4, I was on cloud 9. I was like, Michael's back, and now I can enjoy, Michael and Freddie and Jason. So it was a great time. But thank you so much, Anthony. Really appreciate the support, man. Um, and you rock. But what I was going to say is, yeah, I definitely think that scene where she unmasks Michael, I do think that's Corey. And the look on her face, we talked about this before, Steven. The look on her face looks like
Mhm.
a look of shock. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like if she killed Michael, if she unmasked Michael and saw James Jude Courtney, I don't think the look
Mhm.
on her face would be shock. I
Mhm.
think it'd be more like relief or maybe disgust or like, yeah, it's finally over or whatever. And I think that that's a very important thing that she kills Corey. She has a final confrontation with Michael. And then, of course, I've got some really interesting ways I think that this thing could end. But, Michael, let me bring it back to you. Now that we've gone around the panel once and given you a chance to, collect your thoughts and and and
Is
and
that what I'm doing?
and fully absorb this stuff, man. Let me ask you this, and we've talked about this on the Lethal Collective, Stephen. But Michael, this whole idea of Corey being in the movie and this plot point, do you think that this was a good direction for them to go? I know we haven't seen the movie, but from
Right.
everything that and of course your love of the franchise, do you think that this was a good way for them to go story wise for Halloween Ends?
So when I first heard about it, the first thing I thought of was Friday 5, right?
Yeah.
Um, and Friday 13th Part 5 was not well received. Even the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh man, what is this?" Again, I was a kid. As I've gotten older, I've started watching it more and enjoying it a little more. But to end a trilogy, to take this big of a risk, to have Michael, the guy you go to see, share the spotlight, it's either going to be really good or it's going to bomb. That's how I feel about it. And in all honesty, it really depends on how they do this. We
Yes.
got the idea, breaking things down, looking at them. Okay, we know Corey's there. We know Corey's looks like in that one picture he's feeding Michael victims in the cave. I'm gonna
Hmm.
bring somebody else in here. I'm gonna bring somebody else in here. Oh God, I really don't know, Knight. To be honest with you, like I said, it can go either way, and
It
it's just a
can.
very big risk to end a
Yes, it
trilogy
is.
that way. And I think I'll leave it at that with my opinion because
Yeah, I mean it is a huge risk, and also to say, Val, thank you so much for putting the links to these guys' channels in the chat, and have the link in the description as well. But definitely make sure you guys, if you haven't subscribed to Shape of the Shadows and also Craven Something Scary and Movies and Beyond, make sure you guys do that. They're fantastic. But I agree, it's a huge risk. But my mindset is this: is if they didn't take a risk, like this, you know what I'm saying? Thanks, Jason. Then the movie probably would have been very cookie cutter, right? The end of Halloween Kills happens. Michael killed Karen. Okay, some time passes, even if it was the same night, whether it's the same night, a week later, a year later, or these 4 years later, Michael will come back. Michael kills some people. Laurie finds out. Laurie has to stop Michael, and Laurie either kills Michael or Michael kills Laurie. If that was the movie, we've seen that.
Mhm.
We've seen it. Don't get me wrong. I'd still enjoy it, because this film crew has done a fantastic job of putting these movies together, in my opinion, in the way that Michael is presented. I would have
Mhm.
still enjoyed it, but it's something I've seen a bunch of times. So in my mindset, at least the way I'm looking at it right now, I think what they've done is they said, you know what, we want to end this in a really really creative way, and that's why they're swinging for the fences. Now whether or not it works, that's a whole nother question, but I
yeah,
do appreciate them trying to do something different. If this thing works, this will be the most unique movie in the franchise.
I agree with that. Um,
True.
but to break that down that way, you can say that about any slasher movie.
True.
Friday the 13th, some kids go to a camp, they get
Right.
killed, one of them gets away. Scream.
Right.
There's some teenagers. There's two of them that are dressed up like Ghostface. They kill
Right.
some of them. They get away. It's kind of that format that they have with all these types of movies. And like I said, you know, and like you reiterated, if they do it and it works great, that's fantastic. You know
Right.
what I mean? But
It
you
does.
can't. It just for me, you know, loving Michael Myers. You know, I love Michael Myers.
I
It's
know.
change. I guess it's change and being scared of change a little bit, you
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
and knowing what Michael was for so long and what he is, and you know, your perception, my perception, I can only speak on my perception of Michael is the shape. You know, we
Yeah.
talked a little bit last week about when he became the crazy uncle and the other ones that was just trying to kill his family. But then we went back to the shape, you know,
That's right.
the shape, and now you're trying to tell me that the shape has a friend, and that's a little hard to
Well,
take in, you
well,
know.
here's the
That's
here's the thing for me. And by the way, what's up, Zoe? Zoe's in the chat too. This is kind of how I look at it. And shape. Let me know what you think on this. Like, and Steven is right. David Gordon Green said an unlikely colleague, right? But I'm thinking, at least in my heart, what I'm hoping, and shape, let me know what you think. I'm hoping that when it's presented, it definitely, it's not so much like, Michael looks into his eyes and then, kind of goes, and and then they start, teaming up like Batman and Robin. I'm hoping that it has something that's really, really cool. Because on paper, like you just said, Michael,
yeah.
it sounds like, come on, man, what's going on here? So I'm hoping that they have a really great way they're going to execute this. What do you think, Shape? Do you think that they have this great idea and that's why they're taking this big risk on this type of plot?
I think they do pretty much. It's something they're going to be. If they're going to put this in a movie, they're backing up 100%. So, I mean, with the connection with Michael and Corey, to me, it seems kind of far fetched. Michael is not going to let somebody just live.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it comes to a point where, possibly Michael's kind of like in his like little state, if you want to call it like his little state, where he's kind of like doesn't know like what's going on too much. I mean, again, he was in a sanitarium for how long? 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah. So if he was, but you see, he was always like in some kind of thing to where he was not able. He doesn't want to go kill nobody until like certain times where something's going to go off in him and he's going to start killing.
Right.
But for me to have like a connection, but then there it goes again with the connection with Corey and Michael. It goes to where 18 was Laurie's story.
Yeah.
Kills was the town story.
Yes.
Now ends is Michael's story. So having Michael and Corey, not necessarily like teaming up and going on a killing spree, but it's in a way to kind of tell Michael's story with Corey. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
To have like Corey and Michael have that connection to where now he's obsessed, or maybe he's been obsessed with Michael from the beginning before he met Michael, before he got to see the boogeyman. So maybe that connection, maybe Michael sees something to where he lets Corey go.
Dude,
Well,
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thought because the only time we've seen Michael not, other than like you said, the sanitarium. That's a great point. When he's been out of the sanitarium was in 4, right? When he's been taken care of by the hermit dude, or 5.
5. And
5, yeah.
Yep.
5. And he wasn't weak. He was too weak to kill, right? He was nursing him back
For a year.
For a year. So
yeah.
This could be a situation where, when we see initially Corey get strangled, that's like the first time Michael meets him. And what they don't show us is what happens next. Michael may just go limp, dude. Like that, like that's all the energy he has. And he's like, he doesn't. And it could now. I'm not saying he's sympathetic because we've never seen Michael really show sympathy. I mean, there's been some times he did shed a tear. Let's not forget that. And but I won't spend a lot of time on that. But I guess technically we've seen him show emotion there. But anyway, not in this canon, right? Not in this trilogy. So anyway, my point is maybe to tag on to what Shape was saying, how this also could be a state where he's not strong enough to kill Corey for a little bit, and perhaps
Mm.
that he's during this time that literally he's trying to get stronger, that
Yes.
he allows, he tolerates Corey because
Mm-hmm.
Corey is helping him because he can't
Mm-hmm.
go out and get his own victims anymore. He needs and maybe he for his own survival he becomes aware of his need for assistance. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
unspoken, but he knows he needs help.
Yeah.
But my thing is once he gets strong enough to where he doesn't need help, that's when Michael comes out of that sewer, guys, and I
Yeah.
think he's coming to rampage again.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think Corey will be dead already. I think I mean again, I could be wrong, but I'm sticking with that. But only because we later see Michael's hand grab his mask from the
Mm-hmm.
kid from the table.
That's right. Yep.
Remember? And that's Michael's hand. It's old, dirty. So
Yep.
that's the reason I'm stuck on Corey being killed by Lori. But either way, Night. I mean, not Night. Night, you're always killing it. But Michael, he gets his strength back, and he comes back now out of the sewer, and to kill people again, and he'll
Right.
meet his end, I believe. We'll see. So I look at it that way. The only thing I can think in my mind, well, maybe he has to let Corey live for a little bit, just because
Mm.
it's his only chance to get strong again.
Right. Yeah, I could see that
Yeah.
too. And think like a director was also saying it in a really interesting way. He's using Corey till he doesn't need him, and
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like Michael is kind of animalistic. So it's not so
Hmm.
much that he's like, okay, Junior, I'll let you kill 5 people and then it'll be my turn. It's more like
Right.
it's just happening. It's all instinct. Like you said, maybe when he attacks Corey, he doesn't have enough to kill him, or maybe Corey figures a way to kind of get loose. We've seen that happen 1,000 times
Hmm.
in this franchise, especially from, people like Laurie Strode and Jamie Lloyd and so forth, Dr. Loomis. So I agree with that. And I think you guys are hitting it right on the nail as far as, to me, a way to make this whole Corey thing plausible, and I can kind of see the light in the tunnel, so to speak, as far as to say this could work out pretty good. Because I'm going to
Yeah.
be honest, I'm nervous about it too, guys. I'm
Hmm.
nervous about it too because I want this movie to be great. I want them to stick the landing, and I want to be able to look back on this trilogy of films and say, man, they hit a home run on all 3 movies, and it's mic drop. That's what I want. Now, if that doesn't happen, I still have all the other movies that I absolutely love, including 2018 and Kills. But I do think this movie potentially could be very good. It might even
Hmm.
be better than Kills. I don't know if it'll be better than 2018 because 2018
Ooh,
really
yeah.
checked a
Yeah.
lot of boxes, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on that too. But Steven, I know you got to get ready to get going, so I don't want to
I do.
I don't want to hold you up, man.
I know, I know. It's so sad. We're having such a great time, and I have to say, I know I said it backstage, but I do. I would love for us all to get together again, the 4 of us, and again before
Yeah,
Halloween
man.
Ends comes out, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
have a
man.
like have another like coming to the table talk about where we think what's going to happen, because this is such a fun night. It's fun energy here. I love
Yeah,
it,
man.
and
Let's let's
yeah.
let's aim for next Tuesday as far as maybe to get a part 3. I'm
Mm,
open to that. We can talk more about it, guys,
yeah,
but
yeah,
that would be fantastic because
great.
yeah, we could go on all night.
We could easily. So
That's
guys,
right.
real quick, and then I'll head out, and I know you guys will have an awesome rest of the stream. But I'll just say to your point, Knight, I think it can be really well done. I mean, it can be really good if it's executed well,
Yes.
And I really I have high expectations. I know that I'm a little bit nervous, but I go back to what I keep saying. I think he delivered David Gordon Green a good movie, a great movie
Mhm.
actually in 18, and I thought he did a
Mhm.
good movie in Kills personally. So I think that I'm going to trust him, that he's not just all of a sudden going to be turned into a bad writer. I think that he knows what he's
Mhm.
doing, and that doesn't mean I may love everything, but I'm going to go into this thinking, you know what, he's probably really thought this thing through
Yeah.
carefully, and
You would
he
think
did.
so.
You would really think so, man. The care he seems to have for the John Carpenter's lore and the mythology of the franchise, and thing I'll say, remember this one thing. He gave a copy of the script to John Carpenter to read. Now,
That's right.
and he said he came back to him and told him it's not too much like Christine. Maybe, guys, when John Carpenter was reading the script, he pulled a pen out and maybe wrote a few notes, and maybe, who knows, maybe he has had a few Carpenter references to recommendations that got to the movie. That's all I'm going to say. Who knows? It could be. But
Yes.
anyway, guys, Knight, thanks for the invitation tonight,
Yeah,
as
man.
always. Shape, great to see you, man. We need to do more stuff together. And Michael, you too, man. We need to do more stuff together as well. You guys are great.
We'll work that out for real. Seriously.
We'll knock it out. Seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good night. See ya.
All right, brother.
See you, Steven.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Catch you later.
Catch you later.
See ya.
See ya.
Before I forget, Knight, I just want to touch on this one point. Isn't it funny how you love a series when you're nervous before the one comes out?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's true.
You know that you love something when you're not excited. It's like you are excited, but you're still nervous. Like, oh God, please don't make this bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you kind of feel like you're a part of that, that group, that fandom, that holds these movies so high that you do get nervous and say, I want this to be good, not only for me, but for, everyone that feels the same way I do about these movies. And I think that
there's no doubt about that, man. I felt the same way when I went to go see 2018 in the theater.
Oh yeah.
I went to go see it with my brother. And even when I went to go see Halloween Kills, me and Coriander, we went to the theater, and I was just like, oh man, I hope this is good. I hope it can live up to 2018. And I'm going to have that same nervous energy with Ends. And I think it's, like you said, it's because you care so much about the franchise, and you care about its status and so forth.
Well, it's funny because people are talking like, hey, there's going to be another Friday the 13th movie, and my initial reaction was finally yes, and then it's like, oh my God, I hope it doesn't suck. Right. You know what I mean? Like that's you immediately go, well, I do anyway. Maybe it's just because I have issues, but it's like I immediately go to that, like, oh my God, I hope that it's, you know what I mean?
No, I'm the
that's
same
how you
exact
know
way.
that you really love something. And that's why we do this, right? That's why we get together and talk about these things.
There's no doubt about that, because like with Friday, the good news is that I'm hoping that Friday takes some notes. As far as
especially from 18.
Yeah, especially the love and the respect that these guys have shown to the franchise. I mean, think about this, and then I'll point it to you, Shape. But think about this: they bring back Jamie Lee Curtis. They bring back John Carpenter. They bring back Nick Castle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like everybody's shoulder to shoulder. You got, PJ Souls had a cameo. Like you're bringing the crew back, 40 years plus worth. Now, of course, there's some people that say, well, yeah, they're getting paid, or they're getting money, or they get, it's a job. And that's all true. But it just seems like to me that their heart is in the right place. And that could just be the fanboy in me, but it seems like everyone is really trying to make these movies a cut above the rest. And they definitely are. I mean, and as you guys know, I've gone through all of these movies, and currently we're doing watch parties of each movie. So I really think this trilogy is standing out. But Shape, what about you? How do you think these filmmakers have approached these three movies, and how do you compare 2018 to Kills, and maybe what you think Ends will be?
For me, when I first saw 18 in theaters, I was like, man, they kind of like blew out of the park. You know what I mean? the way the film was, the atmosphere was, it was like, okay, Michael's back to his roots again. We're back to Michael.
Yeah.
Here we got Kills, and in a way they kind of amped it up way more than 18. I think way more than any other Halloween film I've kind of seen. So with that, amping that up with Kills and the more brutalness, the more kills, and Michael was just basically an unstoppable force in that whole movie.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to Ends, I think they're going to do, in my opinion, the best they can to what they're going to do, because again, they're trying to do something different. They're bringing some other plots in. So, but to them sticking behind, like, hey, this is it. This is Ends. We're sticking behind it. It's going to be a good movie. But then again, you got some of the actors and actresses. They're like, "Oh, the movie's going to be weird," or fans are going to hate this movie, or they're
Mhm.
going to do this, and it's going to be divisive. I mean, yeah, probably, but at the same time, even Kills was divisive. Some
Yes.
people loved Kills, some people hated Kills. I mean, personally, I
Mhm.
really enjoyed Kills,
Yes.
but when they're diving into this and trying to do, like, I guess, in a way, kind of take out, trying to do their own story. Because, like I say, again, this is their trilogy. This is their story. This is
Yeah.
what they see Michael as, even with help
Right.
from Carpenter. But
Mhm.
their approach they're taking for ends, in my point of view, my opinion, I think they're going to nail it. To
All
where
right.
even though we may be like, damn, really they did that, but at the same time, it's going to be like we have a definitive, if they're going to do it, a definitive ending for the Michael Myers and Laurie Strode story.
Mm. All right. I like that, man. And also, Nightmare Corner was saying that, I think that the essence of evil will scar Corey, make him the new Michael, like how my Bloody Valentine did with the Harry Warden mind split, or how Tommy Jarvis was hospitalized and wore the hockey mask in 5. That's a good parallel. I like that parallel. It could happen. It really
But
could.
there's I kind of want to touch on this because you had a picture up there earlier,
Hmm.
but it's the scene in the trailer where Michael, grabs Corey and chokes him, right, and they're having that eye to eye, right? Because you see
Hmm.
Michael like grab him looking, but then he kind of turns this way. He kind of does that little turn,
Yeah.
and then you got that shot of a real close of Michael's face, and then you get the Corey with eye. But then you
Hmm.
see Michael like drop Corey down on the ground.
Yes.
Then he pulls a knife out from the rock, right? But when you see Michael, it's kind of like he grabs a knife and then he's like, like he's
Yeah.
like tired because you see him, he's kind of pulling a knife and he's like, I got to kill you. I'm kind of tired, man. I got to kill you. You know what I mean? Because you kind of
Hmm.
see that. So maybe that's the thing is they're saying Michael's weak. He's going to be weak in this. So again, it can always be the transfer or he needs Corey, like as Craven said, he needs Corey to help Michael out. He needs him.
Hmm.
So I can really see that happening to where Michael is just too weak and he doesn't want to kill Corey, but he's using Corey. Then again, it kind of plays because if David Gordon Green is taking bits and bits and bits from the whole Halloween franchise, right?
Right.
If you look at it, Michael had plenty of opportunity to kill Dr. Loomis
Yep.
in Halloween, 4, 5, even possibly 6. Well, of course he probably did kill Dr. Loomis 6, either the screams at the end, but
Right.
there was still times where Michael could kill Dr. Loomis.
That's right.
And then, of course, if you see in Resurrection, to where after he killed Laurie, then you see him go in that one patient's room and he gives him the knife.
Hmm.
He just hands him the knife. So it could kind of be again, those kind of scenarios to where Michael's too weak and he's like, all right, here,
Yeah.
take the knife.
Well, and plus with Michael, and we've seen it a million times in this franchise, we don't understand the engine that drives him. There are people that there are a lot of lucky people, and they have no clue that they were lucky not to be killed by Michael Myers. That one tracking shot in 2018 where he's on the street with literally 1,000 people, and it's almost like he's just flipping a coin. Who's gonna catch it? You might, or maybe you, or maybe you. We don't know. He goes in someone's house. There was no reason to do it. He just goes in the house. He's like, "Up, you're the one," and that to me has always been what's so scary about him. But like you said, we've also seen in the series where you almost could read between the lines as far as to why he spared people in those moments, especially like you said with Resurrection, where that guy was spouting the history, and Michael gives him the knife basically to say, yeah, you know what's up. And they did it, even though I'm not a big fan of Resurrection in general. I think they did it in an okay way. It wasn't like over the top or totally stupid. Like, I could just understand that they're basically saying Michael saw this as a kindred spirit and was like, "Hey, here's a knife for you, buddy. Do what you got to do." Um, and real quick too, in the chat, Jacob was saying, "What do you think Michael will be doing while looking for his mask and during the copycat killer's killing spree? If he doesn't have more screen time looking for his mask, it's Friday Part 9." I think, and I'll give it to you in a second, Michael. I think that the my one of my biggest questions about this whole thing is the timeline of this copycat scenario. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's going to be the whole movie from the beginning all the way to the end. Corey, is the copycat and doing stuff, and Michael's just on the sidelines. For all we know, and I've gone back and forth on a lot of these different things. For all we know, it could be like from 40% in the movie to the end, because you've got to introduce Corey. You got to at least have at least a scene or two where you see this kid and you see what's going on with him. You're gonna have the scenes where he's befriending Allison and their relationship gets a connection or whatever. And then of course you got Lori trying to, move on from the shape. So I think that takes up some screen, some good screen time. But for all we know, this whole thing with Corey and imitating Michael and all that type of stuff, it could only be, 30 minutes of the movie, maybe 45 minutes. I don't know. It's hard to say. Michael, what do you think? I know you're still processing the whole Corey angle, but do you think that this will be a huge part of the movie? Meaning, the movie's almost 2 hours long. Do you think that
Right.
this whole plot is going to run the 2 hours, or do you think it's going to be a smaller amount?
Well, here's where I'm conflicted about that, because if they do start, where, Corey is in their lives and everything, and they don't continue from Halloween Ends first and then say 4 years later, kind of like a end game, Avengers Endgame deal, where they
Yes.
start off in one place and then, go 4 years later.
Hmm.
You have to wonder if Michael's in a cave week and can't do anything without, Corey, what else are they gonna do?
Hmm. Hmm.
Are you just gonna leave Michael in a cave for 40 minutes?
Right.
Where most people go to see Halloween movies to see the shape, and you're telling me the shape is incapacitated for over half of the movie.
Right. Right. Right.
It's I don't know, it's tricky. I
Hmm.
mean, we have seen a lot of the trailer, but we don't get any sense of time or what's happening in any sequence whatsoever. Now there is
Hmm.
that one scene in the trailer where Michael is looking over at someone and he starts walking towards them. I'm assuming it's Lori, and Corey's laying on the ground in coveralls,
Yes.
dead. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
they flat out put that in the trailer. I'm assuming he's
Hmm.
dead. He's
Yeah, we're assuming.
right. Um, which goes back to what I was saying about them showing, too much again.
That's
What
right.
part of the movie is that? That makes me think, and maybe they're doing this with the trailer, making me think that that's towards the end of the movie.
Right.
You know,
But for all
so
we know, that could be the beginning of the movie or within the first 25 minutes of the movie.
it could be, but he's got the mold all over the mask and stuff, so that he's been in
True.
that cave for a long time. And going back to what Steven was saying earlier, and I talked a little bit about the same thing, prior to coming on this chat. All it made me think of was Halloween 5 and the caretaker and
Hmm.
stuff like that, and that's kind of what I'm relating Corey to
Yeah.
where Michael needs him to be able to do anything, and that's the only way that my mind can justify the shape needing anyone else other than himself.
Right. Although I will say, just thinking it like we're doing it right now, spitballing it around,
Right.
I think this sounds a lot better than what they executed in Halloween 5. Because
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
even
yeah.
as a kid, when I saw Halloween 5, I was like, wait a minute, Michael is just chilling in this guy's shack for a year. I mean,
Right.
what is it? What? What's going on?
Well, he did get blasted by how many shots and knocked
Exactly.
through a hole that they threw dynamite in.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and
True.
he came floating down the river with a different mask on, which was
Exactly.
fantastic.
Exactly. And also, Val said we got 53 awesome people watching, 41 likes. Please hit the like button. Yes, guys. Please, please, please hit the like button. If you have not hit the like button yet, please do that. It would really help support the channel and support us in our conversation and help YouTube push this video out. So we really appreciate it. Val, if you could give me an update on that too. My man Eric's in the chat too, saying the the man in black shows up. It's Connell Cochran under the hat, and the silver shamrock is controlling Michael. or it's all a dream. I don't know about that, man. What's up, Gilbert? Gilbert's in the chat too. Saying I have a question. Is Halloween Ends 2 hours long? I believe it's supposed. Isn't it an hour and 55 minutes or hour
Yeah, close.
56?
Yeah, close to 2 hours.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. I think
touching the 2 hour mark.
yeah, I think that's what I heard the last time. Just saying, right around an hour and 56 minutes. What's up, Russell? Russell's in the chat too. What's going on? Jordy's in the chat. What's up, Jordy? Good to see you too. But Shape, what about you as far as this whole angle? Because again, you're a huge fan of the franchise. I don't know exactly how you felt about that angle in Halloween 5, with the old man in the shack. But do you think that? Well, obviously, this is kind of a parallel of it. Do you think that this will be executed better than that?
I do believe so. Yes. I mean, it kind of to where you go to Michael, because he goes choke the old man, and of course he collapses because he's weak,
Yeah.
and he kind of nurses him back to health. But if you kind of look at it, it seems like Michael was just laying down the whole time
Right.
for a whole year. So it's kind of like, again, when Michael kills, he usually only kills on Halloween night.
Yes.
So my kind of thing is for this movie is they need to. So again, they're going to need to build up Corey Cunningham's character. They got to build him up. So whereas the whole movie is him kind of like building it up his character, but him stumbling upon Michael, knowing about Michael, maybe bringing people down there, to get killed by Michael, see this stuff happen, right? Now it comes a point where it's okay. Well, it's time for me to take my step. I need to see what's like being like Michael. Going back to the Sartain thing, where Sartain,
Yeah.
like to kill, right? So then he's like, okay, I need to figure this out. So I want to see what it'd be like, Michael. I want to see what it feels like. And say, he gets the mask from Michael, and we all know grab that mask is a big no-no for Michael.
Yes.
So while he grabs a mask and then takes off with the mask and goes like on his killing sprees. That's when Michael's like, "Oh man, hey man, you got my damn mask. What are you doing?" And him getting out from where he's at, and he's going from place to place, and then that's how it goes to where he gets to Laurie's house. That's when Michael comes in, and then takes the mask. But also too, you do see some of the kills in the trailers and the TV spots that is definitely James Jude Courtney.
Yes.
That's picking it up, and doing this stuff. There's no way. So you're seeing kills by James Jude Courtney.
Yes.
So that's kind of my take on to where I think Michael's going to be kind of doing killings throughout the movie, but then it's going to be to where it's getting close to Halloween night, and then that's when Corey kind of like starts taking over, then doing some of the kills and stuff like that, to where he's starting doing the kills, but then Michael's like going after him, saying, "You got my mask." And then going after, and that's how he kind of leads, not knowingly leads Michael to Laurie's house.
Right.
Michael's kind of in a way kind of stalking him to where he leads him to Laurie's house, and then that's how when she's fighting him and then kills him, and then that's when Michael comes and grabs his mask. You see in the trailer, he grabs his mask and then puts it on.
Yeah. I can dig it because that's the other thing too that we haven't talked about. Is that Corey is also the reason that Michael and Laurie, get back together again, because it's been totally established in these movies that Michael is not stalking. He's not going after Laurie. You know what I mean? Sartain brought him to Laurie in 2018. He didn't give a shit about Laurie and kills, obviously, even though she thought he was coming to the hospital for her.
He just wanted to go home.
Which of course, that was a nod to Halloween 2 from 81. But I definitely think Corey is also not only going to be kind of and when I say this word, hopefully people don't like rail against us in the comments. I don't necessarily mean that they're explaining Michael's evil, but in a way, Corey is a way to kind of see Michael, because again, in this timeline, all we've seen is Michael killed Judith. He gets put into Smith's Grove. He escapes. He kills Laurie's buddies. He gets put back into Smith's Grove for 40 years and then breaks out. So we don't get a lot about Michael per se, and Corey is kind of a way for them to do it in a creative way. But he's also a bridge between Michael and Laurie as well. So I think that it's really, really interesting. Michael, here's my question. Here's another question. I know I've been asking a bunch of questions, but that's the way it goes. And what's up, horror gang?
What's going
And
on?
also Michael Joe as well. Michael, who's gonna live at the end of this movie? Is it gonna be Laurie Strode or Michael Myers?
I honestly, as much as I want the Shape to walk away from this at the end,
Mm-hmm.
for him to still be alive, I honestly think that it'll be Allison that lives out of all this.
Oh,
I do. I think that that's the route they'll go. I think Michael will end up and Laurie will end up killing each other. I think that that's probably the most poetic way for this to go out.
Interesting.
Is for yeah. I think that they're gonna end up killing each other. And
Okay, so
that's
they
gonna be
both.
the end of it.
All right, so they both die. Okay, Shape. What about you? Who lives? Who lives? Who dies?
Well, of course, I want the Shape to live at the end.
Right.
Well, I think I can see what you mean by Allison kind of living in the story to where Michael and Laurie both died. But I do believe that I think Laurie's going to come out on top.
Mm-hmm.
I think after everything she's been through and losing her daughter and everything else, I do believe they're probably going to pretty much make her come out on top, and the boogeyman's going to die.
Okay.
I do believe they're probably going to give Laurie Strode her happy ending, her walk off in the sunset. Now, of course, they do that, but then at the end of the credits, when everything rolls, you probably might hear the.
I hope so. I want that too. Well done, sir.
All right. Well, listen. Now, of course, I want that too. But let me throw something really wacky at you guys. I'm gonna throw something really, really wacky at you guys. And by the way, what's up? Millions in the chat too. Bernardi, what's up, man? And also, it smells like teen horror. What's going on? Okay. Now, I did a video last week, and there are a lot of people that were like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? And I might have alluded to this last week when we were on live, Michael, about how this movie is going to end. Like, we've heard from Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis, Christopher Nelson, James Jude Courtney, and Nick Castle. When they talk about the ending of this movie, you've heard phrases like weird, different, upsetting, make people question, a departure. John Carpenter said a departure. What if the ending isn't any of that? What if the ending, it isn't really a question of who lives or dies, but how they live or die? Like, in other words, I guess what I'm saying without I don't want to rant too much, but if Laurie kills Michael, I think a lot of fans would want that, for the reasons that you guys are saying. You know what I mean? She finally wins. She defeats evil, and yay, and we're all happy. But that's definitely a way that people can see it ending, right? That's not really a departure. We saw that in H2O. She defeated Michael. Before Resurrection came out, she killed Michael Myers. She won, right? If Michael wins, if he kills everyone, or if he kills Laurie, let's say, there could be some fans that are upset about that because it's like, wow, she went through all this type of stuff and so forth and so forth. But again, I guess what I'm saying is, if one of them lives or dies, people can guess that, because that's what this is all about. One of them will live, one of them will die. But what about this, guys? This is what I talked about in my video. What if at the end of the movie, and again, people are probably going to start to get really crazy in here, but what if, Michael's going to kill a bunch of people. I think Laurie's going to kill Corey. So in other words, she's going to kill Michael. She's going to have that moment where she thinks she overcomes the Shape. I think in the trailer and these TV spots, they show it, and it's a quick thing, right? She stabs him and she pulls off the mask, and, she has that look on her face. But that scene could play out a lot longer than that. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. So I definitely think she's going to kill Corey. But what if at the end of the movie, and I don't know exactly how it could happen, but what if Michael does survive, but it's because Laurie just says, I'm done with this. I'm done with being obsessed with you. You know, you can basically do what you did at the end of Halloween Kills, walk off, you know, like that wounded animal going to the forest to go. And David Gordon Green used the word dormant. That Michael went off and he's just dormant. He's injured, he's dormant, probably just waiting to die, just whatever. You know what I'm saying? Dormant, just like he was as a kid after he killed Judith and they took off his mask and he's just staring out into the void. Dormant, just like he was in the recreation scene when the cops were surrounding him and he's just standing there, just like when Loomis said, staring at the wall, looking beyond the wall, waiting for some silent alarm to be triggered off. What if at the end of the movie, she just says, F it, you know, however that happens after she kills Corey, you know, she survives Michael, or maybe she's even wounded. But what if Michael does survive and he just goes off? And that's how his story ends. To me, that'd be pretty damn bonkers, right?
Love that word.
Bonkers, a departure. It could definitely piss off fans because the first thing people are going to say is, why would she allow that to happen? He killed her daughter, her son in law, and so forth and so forth. Well, here's the answer because this whole timeline has shown that her obsession has cost her her life, her family, her daughter, you know, possible love in her life. And like she said in Kills, that was the scene that really kind of solidified it to me. You can't beat him by brute force. You can't beat him by brute force. And Hawkins saying, it was never about you. You know, what if she just says, because think about it. If after he was incarcerated, if she just said, you know what, screw Michael, he's locked up at Smith's Grove, I'm going to Canada, and just lived her life, she would have never ever come back in contact with Michael Myers in this timeline, the way it's set up. So, anyways, I know I'm ranting or whatever, but what do you, what do you guys think? Is that really bonkers shit crazy or what?
So my question to you before you said all of that would be, you know, when you asked who would live and who would die, and I said
Mhm.
both of them, can Laurie Strode exist without Michael Myers? Is a question for her current state. You know what I mean? Like what the last X amount of years she has lived for Michael. She is
Right.
trained for Michael. She ruined a relationship with her daughter. It's where her daughter was taken away, training for Michael. Everything has been about Michael, and to find out in Kills, like he doesn't really care about you. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Maybe she does let go, and maybe that's a way that they can both live. But I just don't know if Laurie Strode can live without Michael Myers.
No,
Like
that's a
that's
good
why
point.
I feel like that they will kill each other. Now, granted, I like your ending better. I mean, I know that there'd be a lot of people that are mad, but if Laurie's just like I'm done, and he's like I'm done, I don't have to see the shape die. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? He walks off and he can just do his own thing and die out in the woods if that's what he chooses to do. But at the end of the day, current state with Laurie Strode, I just don't see her being able to exist without him. I
Yeah, that there's some truth to that. I mean, but like I said, to me, this whole trilogy has been about the effects of trauma on her and her
yeah,
family. You know what I mean? Now, granted, and by the way, this thing I'm talking about, I'm not saying that this is 100% what I think is going to happen. I'm just
yeah.
saying that it's just an idea that came to my mind as a possibility based upon what all these filmmakers have said about the ending. Because to me, when that screen goes dark, if Laurie kills Michael, I saw that I saw that coming. I saw that coming when they first announced the trilogy. At the end of the third movie, she's going to finally overcome Michael Myers. And that might happen. That might happen. But to me, that's a very easy path. I'm not saying I don't like it, but I'm just saying, based upon all these words that they've used, different, weird, departure, people won't see it coming. Well, pretty sure people see Laurie killing Michael coming. And I'm sure people can also see Michael killing Laurie. But what if at the end, like I said, she just says, I'm done with it. I truly am done with it because we've seen in the trailers that Allison said you're acting like you're okay, but you're still obsessed with death. So even though she's healed a little bit and trying to heal, she's not really there, you know. But what if at the end of this movie, she just says, fuck it, I'm done. go and die off, do it, whatever, and just kind of turns her back on her, almost kind of like, I don't want to get cheesy, but like Nancy when she turned her back on Freddy in Nightmare 1. I'm not saying it's going to be cheesy like that. People are going to start leaving comments. What do you mean she's going to turn her back on Michael? I'm just talking symbolically. Shape, what do you think? Is there any chance that could happen? Is it the worst idea on the planet or what?
I actually enjoy that because it's kind of it's like her kind of like finishing it off. Like, hey, I'm done with you. Do what you're gonna do. I'm done. And Michael maybe just walks off, or potentially kills her. That can always happen where she is. She ends up dying at the end. But I do what you're saying but I really do dig that. I kind of like it because it's, to me, it's like, hey, the boogeyman still lives. The boogeyman still lives. So I'm always like hopeful the boogeyman's gonna live.
Yeah.
But with them saying it's gonna be weird and all those talks, but I do kind of want to bring this up because I kind of thought about it too. I want you to get you guys' opinions on this.
Mm-hmm.
What if the ending is this? They kill off Michael, and you have Laurie, Allison. They have their happy-go-lucky ending, right?
Yeah.
But then you get a shot of the woods, and you got a shot of the woods, and it's kind of backpedaling out, right? And say it's like to the feet, and all of a sudden you see a pair of feet walk by, and then you see the knife in the hand. And then when they keep panning back, you basically see Corey's back of his head while he's walking off.
Yeah, it could go that way. It definitely could. I mean, if it happened again, everything with Corey, the way he's characterized, his scenes, him as the copycat, and even his ending, whether he lives or dies, everything I can deal with if it's executed, in the right way. Now, as a fan, right off the jump, would I want it to end with him walking off and basically saying, hey, he's the next generation or whatever? No, because to me, I don't need to know that evil never dies. I already know that. We've seen it with Michael. He just can't be killed, at least not conventionally. And John Carpenter, right from the beginning, said Michael, the way he looked at Michael, he was like, Michael is human and also supernatural. He has those supernatural tendencies. It's not like he's magical and, like how Halloween 6, portrayed him, but meaning that he can survive things that a normal man you wouldn't think could survive, but it doesn't make him immortal, and that's how Carpenter looked at it. So, like I said, I don't necessarily need to see Corey walking off to understand that evil never dies, or that Michael infected him like Michael infected Haddonfield in Halloween Kills. But I'd be okay with it if it's executed the right way. I'd be okay with it, especially if Corey as a character, if I'm on board with him in this movie. Like a lot of people are nervous about it, including me, but it's just like any other thing. Before you see a movie, you don't know if you're going to like a character because you haven't seen anything of what the character really does. And even a trailer doesn't give you the full, idea. So, for all I know, I might be like, dude, I like this new character. I like how they presented him. I like what he's doing. I'm hoping that's the case. But you're right, Shape. Maybe it could end like that. Michael, what do you think about that? Seeing Corey walking off into the dark moonlit woods.
Well, if you'd have asked me that yesterday, I would have screamed, "No way!" You know what I mean? Given the events of today, I mean, we could possibly see that. The only thing with that is what I've seen, in the trailer. With him laying there with the coveralls on, it kind of makes me wonder: is he going to get up and walk out?
Right.
But I did want to say one more thing about the ending that you were talking about, to where Michael. Let's say that Michael and Laurie agreed to go their separate ways, in their own way.
Right.
If I'm Michael, I'm not leaving. There's two things I want from Laurie before I leave. Like, look, I owe you. I've only got 3 fingers right now. You're gonna give me 2 of those. We're gonna
Well,
call
that's
it
what
even.
that's what he tries to do with the garbage disposal.
We're gonna call it even, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna go this way. But I didn't have any beef with you until I came there and you shot my fingers off. Now,
Right.
let
You
me
should
get
have
those
never
from
sang.
you.
You should have never sang that song 40 years ago. You know,
Right.
I was a fan. Real quick too, as we start to wind down here, because this has been a lot of fun, guys. I can't even believe we've been going well over an hour, but I know you guys got things you got to do too. But Bobby was saying that's the thing. She does move on. He still comes for her, and Corey even states that he's coming for her. She can't win because everyone is misinterpreting everything. Well, I think he's going to come for her because of Corey. It's not because he's going to leave the sewer saying, "I got to find Laurie Strode." I can guarantee that, you know. And if that is what happens, then they're going against everything that they've shown us in Halloween 2018 and also Halloween Kills. So she moves on as best as she can. At least that's the way I'm interpreting it. And I think Corey, with his obsession of Michael, is what brings Michael and Laurie back together. And even as he gets infected or maybe more obsessed with the shape, I think that's where he was coming from when he says, Michael's coming for you. You know, he's coming back. You know, what are you going to do when Michael comes back and so forth? Shape, what do you think about this comment from Bobby and how you interpret it?
Well, that's kind of a real head scratcher for me.
Right?
I mean, I call Michael's role come back, yeah, because I mean, they already stayed, like you said, they stayed in 18 and kills. It was never about Laurie.
Right.
It was never about Laurie. I mean, she was just some one that got away, but he always picked his victims of what he wanted. But there was never him going back to the same victim or going after, because again, this timeline is no longer brother and sister, so that's out the window.
Right.
But I do believe that it's going to be more Corey getting more obsessed with it. Again, it just kind of goes back to Dark Sartain. Dark Sartain was all about Michael and getting Laurie and Michael back together. And I want Michael to speak. I want Michael to say something, and I want to see what he does and if he talks and yada yada yada. But again, it's gonna be more where Corey is gonna be like, hey, it's still in a way keeping the boogeyman alive, and Laurie, hey, Michael's coming back. What you can do when Michael's coming back, because he is coming.
Right.
They said in the trailer too, like, oh, I looked in his eyes. I see. And then of course you got Laurie talking to him, like, oh, Michael's more dangerous than he ever was. Just they're having that conversation back and forth. So really kind of see how that's going to play out. But again, it's like, in a way, it's kind of like, okay, well, since he knows about Michael, she knows that he knows about Michael, and he said it in her eyes. So I wonder how that's going to play out. To where is she going to be like, okay, well, does he know? Is he going to like try to get Michael to come back after me? Is this like something's going to happen here, or like what's going to happen? And then you just never know. And then of course, he becomes a copycat killer and going after Laurie, and then also Michael. He doesn't know that Michael's, coming back as well. So I do believe in the more we talk about it. Like I said, just too much stuff keeps popping in my head. What can play out, and the way more and more I see it is, again, like with Corey seeing Michael and doing what Michael does and getting that glimpse of, how he wants to feel, like how Dr. Sartain wanted to feel, how he wants to kill somebody. And I'm thinking it's like going back to, like, this is going to be Michael's movie. This is going to be Michael's story. It's keep the legend, and he's keeping Michael and his name and the legend, the lore alive.
Yes. That's exactly how I see it too, man. He's like the number one fan, and he definitely wants to keep this train going. But this image here, just to show this image real quick as we wind down here, Laurie comes out. You can see there's blood on her right hand. There's a better picture of the blood on her right hand. In this picture, you can see her. You see Hawkins. You also see Allison. And you also see Lindsay. You know who you don't see? You don't see Corey. I think this is after she kills Corey. She thought it was Michael, but it's Corey. She comes out, and that's why she has that look on her face. She looks like she is shocked to hell. Okay? That's what I'm getting out of it. Now, if she had killed Michael, number one, I don't think she'd be shocked. The other thing, too, what about Allison? wouldn't Allison, kind of be like, you did it, the evil's over, yada, 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 grandmother, and so forth and so forth. I think that this is after she kills Corey. So the point I'm trying to make is I think this Corey plot line is going to be very, very interesting. The only thing I don't know is the time amount of it, exactly where it's going to fall in the movie. But I do think it's probably going to be, I would say it's going to probably be at least 50% of the movie. I would think so because they've got to introduce him. He's got to get to know Allison. They're going to have some scenes together and so forth and so forth. So, but I'm very curious. That's the big thing. I'm so curious about this thing. Excited and curious, a little nervous too, like you guys said in the beginning of the stream. It's crazy. And thanks, Million. I appreciate that. Supernatural isn't synonymous with immortal. That is so true, and I think that that's a big thing. And Carpenter has talked about that. Carpenter's talked about that. We know that David Gordon Green is trying to align himself in that mythology that Carpenter created. You know what I mean? So, all right, guys, and thank you, Dan. Dan sends in a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Much appreciated. Saying happy October, horror peeps. Thanks so much, man.
Finally made it to October.
Huh?
Finally made it to October.
Right? Exactly, man. It's gonna be so much fun, man. Bobby was also saying misdirection. I think people are uncomfortable with the idea of Michael obsessed with Lori. It's easy to say she's crazy. People want to move on, pushing away an uncomfortable truth. I don't know. I mean, put it this way: he could be obsessed with her in the sense of when she's right there in front of him. Obviously in 2018, you got a sense of kind of like, hey, what's up, but and that's what they said, and that's what I was getting out of it. You guys let me know what you think. Sartain, if it wasn't for Sartain, Michael wasn't heading towards Lori's camp or trying to find Lori. He was trying to go home. So Lori, if anything, she was not at the top of his priority. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like too Corey's gonna fill that Sartain hole, to get them
Yes.
together.
Right.
I almost that's kind of what I'm getting, out of this.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, I do feel like there wouldn't be the conflict between the two again if Corey isn't there to provide that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, Michael, and he's also been described, the word animal has been used. You know what I'm saying? Like instinct of an animal. And I don't think, like I said, just like when he walked down the street, he's just, okay, you. Okay, you. He's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not so much like Freddie is going after these kids, specifically the Elm Street children. That's
Mhm.
specifically who he's going after. He has an agenda. Michael doesn't have an agenda like that. It's very much like they said. What did they say? The body of a man, the mind of
Oh
a
yeah,
child.
the mind of, he's yeah, the strength of a man, but the mind of an animal.
Yeah, mind of an animal. There you go. And so, anyways, that's the way I look at it. But we'll see. Ends could do some really weird shit. But we're going to get ready to end this thing up here. And for you guys in the live chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been so much fun. And I'm definitely going to talk to these guys and also Steven, see if we can do this again next Tuesday because this this was a lot of fun, man. And we're literally right around the corner from Halloween ends. But if you guys in the live chat and watching the replay can do me a big favor, please hit the like button. It really helps to support the channel. That's number one. But number two, go and subscribe to these guys. They're fantastic. I love talking with these guys. Michael at Movies and Beyond and The Shape in the Shadows. And of course, our good buddy Steven from Craven Something Scary. Be very appreciated to go and check them out, support their channels, and subscribe to them. You won't be disappointed. And yeah, that's about it. I'll have you guys hold on real quick as we get out of here. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Nightwatch.
Good night.
Peace.
Right.